The Miami Dolphins suddenly much, much less exciting when it comes to talking about the draft than they were 24 hours ago. And by the way, we talked about this on the I think we talked about this in the podcast. Yeah, I think Jordan, me, Dejani, and Sully talked about this on the pod. But like to your point, Traps, that I've never seen a trade unfold that way where there's an initial report that's like Tyreek Hill is a candidate to be moved, and you're like, oh well, this is a little spicy. This is going to really ruin by the next 48 hours. Like we're gonna have to
It was done in 45 minutes.
Yeah, and then it was like Schefter's like, this is going to happen soon. And it was like, it's either the Dolphins or the Jets. And it's like, and it's the Dolphins. It's like, whoa, what? I was like spinning out of control here. It was pretty wild. But the Dolphins now have no first round pick as a result. They gave up because they really got out of hand. So they give up basically 2 first round picks for Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, which is not insane, but the number 29 went to Jalen Waddle, and then the Eagles picked up the other one or last offseason. So I guess I'll just generally ask you, Josh, and you're sort of getting screwed here because of the prospect fits. You can't use any first rounders. What do you think the Dolphins' strategy should be, and what do they need help with?
Yeah, so I'm still looking at the interior of both sides of the ball. I'm looking at defensive tackle, linebacker on defense. I'm looking at center on the other side of the ball. They signed Teron Armstead in addition to trading for Tyreek Hill. So you're kind of starting to see the pieces come together. They've also signed Connor Williams in free agency. So there's some pieces to that offensive line coming together. Now they need a center and they need some pieces on the other side of the ball. So in the day 2 prospects that I'm kind of looking at, Matthew Butler, a defensive tackle from Tennessee, a guy that just jumps off the snap. First step quickness is amazing. He's in the backfield before you know it. And then Nebraska center Cam Jurgens, who has his own beef jerky line, as we found out at the NFL Combine, was a media darling. Everybody loved him, and he just blew up the testing in Indianapolis. And his tape is fantastic. I mean, he's a former tight end. He's still developing. But when you look at the traits that he has athletically, he's a guy that has high upside. And I think somebody is going to take a chance on him on day 2. So those are 2 guys that I'm looking at. And it's not even day 2 for Miami because they don't even pick until I think like 86 or something like that. So
102, I think. I just looked.
102, that's right.
Because they give up their first and second round pick for Tyreek Hill. Yeah.
Yep.
Hey, let me ask you this. Do you guys think it's not, I guess it's sort of draft centric, but what did you think about the compensation for Tyreek Hill? Because my initial thought was that it was kind of light for Tyreek. I know Mike McClure, who works at Sportsline, friend of the pod, but like he's pointing like a bunch of Chiefs fans were like, this is a great deal for us. We got capital back and we got to unload Tyreek Hill. I'm like, what are you talking about?
I think it's probably a fair deal because you see some people saying, oh, it was great for the Dolphins. You see some people saying, oh, it was great for the Chiefs. So the reality is it's probably somewhere in the middle. I tend to favor the side of not having to pay $28 million a year to a 28-year-old wide receiver. At this stage in his career, going from Patrick Mahomes to Tua Tagovailoa is a bit of a gamble. And I personally would not have taken it, but they're a team that sees all these other AFC teams making moves, and they felt like they had to do something rash themselves.
Oh, NFL teams, boy, you just don't care, do you? I mean, they just don't care. It's like, we gotta go in. We're the Dolphins. It's like, maybe just take it down a notch. All right. Anything else on the Dolphins?
Well, I will say the scoreboard's 1-1 because Josh just stole Cam Jurgens, my pick for the Dolphins on day 2. But I'll throw one back at Josh. What about Luke Fortner from your Kentucky program at the center spot? I mean, looking at Connor Williams, Teron Armstead, that's great. Robert Hunt's been a pretty serviceable right guard. But I still think to have Michael Dieter and Liam Eichenberg at center and right tackle is a little bit concerning, especially given that Tua is not that great of an athlete. He's not an improviser that's going to make crazy throws on the run. Luke Fortner started a bunch of games at Kentucky. Josh can tell you a lot more about him than I can. And I think linebacker is still kind of a need. Troy Anderson from Montana State. I know Josh was on him early. I got around to his film. This guy was a quarterback, like a scrambling quarterback that I believe won his conferences like offensive player of the year, then immediately flipped to linebacker and won defensive player of the year. I think the Dolphins do still need some athleticism in that front seven. Even though they have Jerome Baker, they do have some pieces, but if they don't go interior offensive line, with someone like Cam Jurgens or Luke Fortner. I think someone like Troy Anderson to add more range and coverage ability to that linebacker group, especially playing in this wide open AFC with all the weapons and all the quarterbacks, would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, Fortner's a very smart guy. He's got a background studying engineering. He's got a couple degrees to his name. Former guard. He's played center. He's got a lot of experience in the SEC. So a guy that's got multi-positional flexibility for a team that drafts him. One thing that you kind of noted on there is the prospects that are making a transition from one position to another. And there's a lot of those converts in this draft class. You're talking about Armani Rogers, former quarterback at Ohio, and he's projected to move to tight end. Jelani Woods is another guy that made a transition. You've got Bernard Raymond at Central Michigan, a former tight end. Cam Jurgens, I already mentioned. You talked about Troy Anderson. Jared Bernhardt from Ferris State is a former quarterback that's going to be making a transition at the next level. So lots of these guys that have played other positions at the collegiate level and are going to be trying something new at the next level. It's going to be very interesting to see how some of these teams view prospects that have zero tape whatsoever at some of the positions that they're projected to play in the NFL.